Morning, everybody, and welcome to this cabinet meeting. Excuse me just a moment while I find the right paper. First of all, do we have apologies for absence?
Apologies, Chair, from Councillor Wise and Ellison this morning.
Thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest? Nope. Minutes. We have before us the minutes of the cabinet meeting of the 17th of October. Can I have a proposer for those minutes? Thank you. Councillor Johnson, seconder. Thank you, Councillor Brown. All in favour? Thank you.
Thank you. You went ahead.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Do we have any items raised by scrutiny?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. So we move to item 6, the 2023-24 quarter 2 revenue and capital forecast report. Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Chair. So, as you said, this is the 23-24 quarter 2 revenue and capital forecast report. And we are asked to note the forecast year-end position, note the update on the achievement of the 23-24 savings proposals, approve the approach recommended to achieve the 23-24 forecast underspend, and note the performance against the Treasury Management prudential indicators. Okay, so the report sets out the forecast outturn as at 30th September 2023 for the current financial year, which is 2023-24. The report compares the forecasted outturn position to the revised budget and the forecast variance. The key areas to note are as follows. The forecast shows an overall forecast underspend of 1.6 million compared to budget. This underspend is largely due to better investment income receipts of 1.3 million compared to the budget due to rising UK interest rates. For the net cost of services provided by the council, there is a forecast underspend of 0.3 million. This underspend mainly arises due to the level of employment vacancies across the council. 4.6% of the council's employees changed during quarter 2, with a total of 16.6% of changes anticipated during the financial year. This position is mitigating pressures arising from price increases of contracts and changes in demand. Vacancy levels present the council with operational risks and the additional costs in covering them with interim staff. Management are addressing the impact of staffing levels on the performance of services and the delivery of the corporate strategy. The forecast position provides the council with opportunities to bring forward transformational activities in line with the financial sustainability strategy that contribute to the council living within its means, which is very important to us. As a result, the council is currently forecasting to use less of its reserves this year than set out in the original budget plan. It is actively considering alternative funding and timing strategies from investments required to improve efficiency, amend service delivery, and investment for workforce wellbeing that will feed into the future years of the medium-term financial strategy. The council continues to operate in challenging financial environments, largely resulting from national and international events. Following on from the previous financial year, inflationary pressures are still experienced alongside challenging operational environments for key services and short-term funding agreements from government. The net revenue budget for 23-24 agreed at full council in February 23 was approved at 49.3 million. The table at 3.2 shows why we are now viewing this as 45.2 million. At 3.4, the council's net cost of services forecast outturn position is an underspend of 0.3 million compared with the revised budget, and a further underspend forecast compared to 0.2 million in quarter 1. There are a number of risks where further work is being undertaken to model the value of the pressures should management action not be successful. The risks are documented in Appendix A by Directorate. The table at 3.4 shows the where the source of the variances are and which directorates are underspending and which directorates are overspending. The additional income of 1.3 million from financing is clearly shown. At 3.5, there are a number of areas shown where we are either overspending or underspending. I don't intend to go into detail on those. I would like to point out, however, that are on the item on culture and registration services, there is a typo which should read, where the text should read, whilst this provides an underspend position for the council, there is a corresponding offset as the council's business rates income budget, which retains 49% of all business rates income is affected. In terms of financing, the table at 3.7 shows where the sources of financing are for the council for the year. Again, showing that we are receiving 1.3 million of additional income, largely from interest. It is important to understand that the reserves position is changing by 400,000, which is contrary on the balance sheet. Investment income returns are forecast to be greater than the budget set. This is a result of holding greater cash balances than originally envisaged due to grant income being received in advance of the activity being undertaken and funded, and reserve funding not being used as quickly as estimated, which could be a problem later on. The local government pay award remains outstanding. This risk is being carried in the forecast position showed against the contingency budget. I'd like to say a few things about the use of the forecast underspend position. The overall forecast position provides the council with opportunities to bring forward transformational activities in line with the financial sustainability strategy that contribute to the council living within its means. More favourable investment returns have contributed to the favourable forecast, which we've already covered. However, the income from interest is not guaranteed for future years, and as such cannot be relied upon as an income stream to underpin the cost of service delivery over the medium to short term, which includes within the financial plan. The proposal for the forecast underspend of 1.6 million is to hold back 50% to manage service risks in this year, and to use 50% to invest in service delivery now, early, to help the council achieve financial sustainability, a key component of the corporate strategy. The one-off investment decisions will be based on investment to aid recruitment and retention of staff, investment in IT and digital platforms to enable transformation work, and 3, investment in specific support for service delivery, whereby in-year investment could be used to implement transformational change in service delivery methods. It is proposed that the allocation of the use of the 50% be delegated to the Chief Executive in consultation with the Strategic Director for Resources, the Portfolio Holder for Finance, and the Leader of the Council, based on the 3 themes above. The resulting expenditure will be from a series of discrete actions that will contribute to the corporate strategy objectives and in turn financial sustainability for the council. Table 4 is the capital position, and it can be seen that our original capital spend was 38.1 million, and that's been added to, so we are now looking at a revised capital programme of 40.8 million. In terms of the capital forecast position at 4.2, it can be seen that expenditure is matched by financing. And it's important to point out in 4.2 that prudential borrowing is still 0, as the council does not wish to borrow at this stage, and we are managing this year's increase in capital spending without further borrowing. The dedicated schools grant, which is covered in section 5, is important to understand that we are currently carrying a deficit forward of this of virtually 2 million. The assumption on this, and it is the subject of an override allowing the council to build this deficit, is that the high needs block overspends will be subsidised later by central government. In terms of savings delivery performance, the 23-24 budget is underpinned with £1.1 million worth of savings from the cost of service delivery. To date, the council have delivered the forecast process for savings delivery in 83% of the savings projects. This is 20 out of the 24. From a monetary position, as in a value position, this increases slightly to 85%. Table 6.2 shows the overall position on the savings, the issues raised, the issues that have achieved savings, and the issues that haven't yet. This is key, as delivery of these savings is important within the medium-term financial strategy and is by no means guaranteed. The council have two key financial objectives stated in the approved corporate strategy. Firstly, the council is committed to being financially sustainable, only spending the funding it receives and balancing the budget in any given year without using general fund reserves. Secondly, to maintain a recommended minimum limit of 3 million as approved by the council as a general fund balance. This helps protect the council's financial resilience whilst operating in a challenging financial context with medium to longer term funding uncertainty. The strategy is based on the two objectives above and three principles. Excuse me. Raising council tax to maximise yield, delivering a transformation programme and an affordable service offer and any other savings required, and using up to £2 million worth of reserves to subsidise the budget to enable time for savings to be delivered. The chart at 7.3 shows the challenge that we have ahead, amounting to £4 million worth of savings over 4 years. The £4 million worth of savings is by no means guaranteed, and is why we need to be very prudent at the current time. In the current financial year, we are assuming we will achieve 1.5 million. And as I've said, the actions are in place to achieve this. However, in my experience, certainly in the private sector, the achievement of these savings is by no means guaranteed, and we need to be very careful about making sure that we hit our assumptions. 7.4 gives a lot more detail about how the additional savings are being managed. I won't go into that detail there. The consultation is not required on this paper, as internal consultation has been undertaken with officers to agree commentary and the final position on all the directorates. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are you moving the motion for this?
Yes, I would like to move the
Thank
motion.
you. Can we have a seconder so that we can go into debate, please? Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any questions, comments, discussion on this particular item from anyone? Councillor Brown?
Sorry about that. I forget that every time. 313, where it is divided, any potential surplus is divided 50-50, and then on the second, I understand the first 50, and on the second 50%, it's then subdivided into 3 areas. I'm just trying to find it, but I quite understand the digital side of it. The first point, I don't know why I can't find the bloody thing, but the first point states, investment to aid recruitment. What form of investment would we be looking at doing in that context? I mean, are we talking advertising or whatever? In the third one, which is investment to specific support for service delivery, whereby to implement transformational changes. How is that envisaged to take place? I don't quite understand how that would in practice work.
Are you able to answer that, Councillor Johnson?
I prefer if the Strategic Director for Resources could comment.
Mrs. Nutton?
Thank you, Chair. So for the recruitment element, it's a very competitive market, as we know, and we are surrounded by different councils. We're a unitary as well, so our members of staff are able. They have a full range of services, and councils therefore being attracted. So we are aware that to look at our recruitment practices differently and try to inject some new ideas. But also looking at, say, apprenticeship skills and attracting new talent in different ways. So we're investigating areas for recruitment in that regard. And similarly with retention as well, we want to keep the skilled talent that we have within the council as well. So we recognise, there's some options around there we're looking at, and also in case we need an injection of resources as well to help us deliver some of those new ideas and ways of working. And similarly with the third one, there isn't some examples there, social care prevention. Kim has some ideas about service delivery. So there's an opportunity there for some investment in those areas. And highways, we know already has been commented on. We know that we need some stabilisation plans there as well. So they are linked with the first and third, with how the human resources element of the council we want to support and look at ideas to make sure we keep people.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Councillor
Thank
Brown?
you. It clarifies it.
Any other questions or comments from anyone? Councillor Johnson?
Yes, I was just going to just perhaps clarify some of the points that the Strategic Director of Resources was saying, in that if we are to transform the processes that the council currently utilises, it's very common that investment in resources required to facilitate those changes, on the basis that the people that are in the roles at the moment have a job to do within those roles. And it's important to have some resource which focuses on the changes.
I think it's important also to recognise that if we're asking people to change their roles as a result of transformation, that we have the resource available to provide for their professional development in order that they can fulfil the changed role. Any other questions or comments? My comment on this is I think staff have done well to hit what were challenging targets in terms of savings. So congratulations to all of you. We've talked a lot over the last year, 18 months about transformation, and it's very easy for those of us who are sitting outside the council or not actually in the operational roles to use the words, but it's actually quite difficult to do the act, as it were, because you are challenging people to work differently, and human beings aren't very keen on change. So again, I want to congratulate the senior staff across the organisation for managing to take staff with them on what is quite a challenging journey for a number of them, because if they hadn't, and if this wasn't happening, we would be in a far worse state than we are now. And we might be in one of the lists that you see in newspapers of loony councils going bankrupt, which we're not, because of sound financial management and everybody working together to achieve that. So thank you, everyone. Having said that, and Councillor Johnson, do you want to say something else?
Yes, if I can. I think the key thing, and it leads to our caution on the way we treat the investment income that we're receiving, is that it's one challenge to identify areas where change can be adopted that will reduce cost whilst increasing service. It's another challenge entirely to actually achieve those savings whilst increasing service delivery. So that's why I'm personally very cautious about making sure that we don't count our chickens before they do hatch.
Thank you. I think that's a point well made. And also, I think residents will need to recognise that whilst we're not moving to cutting services like some of our neighbouring councils are, they do have to recognise that the services might be delivered differently. But I'm sure people are aware of that, as we keep saying it. If there are no further questions, the recommendation that we note the forecast year-end position as at the end of September, the second quarter, for A, revenue position, B, capital position, C, dedicated schools grant, that we note the update on the achievement of the 2023-24 savings proposals, section 6, and the progress made on the financial sustainability strategy, section 7, that we approve the approach to the 2023-24 forecast underspend detailed in 3.11 to 3.14, that half of the forecast underspend is used to mitigate in-year risk pressures, and for the remainder to be used to fund activity which supports financial sustainability. Delegation for use to be with the Chief Executive in consultation with the Strategic Director for Resources, the Portfolio Holder for Finance, and the Leader of the Council based on the 3 themes noted in the report. And that we note performance against the Treasury Management prudential indicators is in line or better with the strategy set, Appendix B. That has been proposed and seconded. All those in favour?
That's unanimous, Chair. That's carried.
Thank you very much. So we move on to item 7, performance reports. And again, Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the performance report for 22-23, and it's the second one that I've introduced. The recommendation of the Cabinet is that we note the contents of the report and the progress in delivering the strategic aims within the corporate strategy. The purpose of the report is to provide Cabinet with a performance update and outlining progress year to date against the corporate strategy. The performance and delivery dashboard, which can be seen in Appendix A, forms part of the Council's overarching performance management process designed to improve the quality of Council services by understanding our progress and areas requiring action. The dashboard includes progress against the 2-year delivery programme and the key performance indicators, or KPIs, underpinning the corporate strategy. Performance is reported to Cabinet 4 times per year. This is the second report of 2023 and provides the latest position at the end of quarter 2, covering the period from April to September 2023. The performance dashboard is very comprehensive. It is made up of 136 key performance indicators, of which data is currently available, independent data is currently available for 123. As we are now 6 months into the reporting cycle, there is an increased confidence in the data presented and our current levels of performance. And I think the benefits from measuring council performance in this way can be demonstrated within the report. There's no significant change of overall performance since the end of June, as outlined in the table at 3.4, with 67% of the performance indicators being on target and 15% being within 5%. Off target at 18%. Some example indicators of where performance is good include fly tipping levels, which are significantly down, street and environmental cleanliness, where inspections are still showing well above target at 68%. The percentage of waste which is sent for recycling has risen by 5% since March, and adult re-enablement effectiveness has increased further and now stands at 91%. Against a national average of 78%. And the percentage of children placed in permanent places has risen further to 86%. Customer compliments, which were unusual, but now continue to increase, with 112 received so far this financial year. This is well on track to eclipse last year. The number of targets off target remains lower than last year, as reported in quarter 1, with 22 KPIs off target at the end of September, down from 32 of the KPIs in March. These include practice reviews in social care, children looked after who have an agreed permanency plan, and house building rates, which remain low, reducing the availability of affordable housing. Examples of indicators where performance is currently off target, but performance has improved, can be seen at 3.7. There has been no significant change in progress against the delivery programme since June, and our overall position remains very positive, with most actions moving forward as expected. Only 3 of the 105 actions are currently identified as off target, with 4 as identified as at risk. The council is continuing to develop its digital progress, and the developments at 3.13 with Power BI will enable the council to interrogate and improve the process still further. And Power BI is now approaching rollout stage across the council. The next steps are that the corporate strategy is approaching its 2-year review window, and work is underway to assess the current priorities and future actions of the council. Future changes to priorities and actions will also include a revision of the key performance metrics. This work is set to be completed by April 2024. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And for the benefit of those who don't know, Power BI is a software system. Councillor Johnson, are you proposing moving this motion?
Yes, I would like to propose to move the
and
motion, Chair.
Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Smith. As we have now moved the motion, it is open to debate and discussion. Councillor Smith.
I'd just like to comment on, if you look at page 30, 4.18, the percentage of registered families with children under 5 engaging in 2 or more family hub activities in the past 12 months, that's 78%, a rise of 38% in the quarter. Having taken part recently in the family hub group, guidance group, and there's a lot of work going on. And so this is very encouraging. This is a good place to intervene to support children, stop children needing more specialist care. There's also a comment on third page 31, 37, paragraph 411. The percentage of care leavers who are in education, employment, or in training has increased to 75%. Though below target, this is well above the national average of 55%. And that comes further on down in the table, which I'll come on to shortly. Moving on further down to the table, the page 43. One thing I wanted to comment on was, if you look at page 43, healthy and well, health and wellness. I've only seen this figure recently, but if you look at the indicator, it says the percentage of children in care up to date with immunisations. If you look, this is below the national average. And further work needs to be done with the Leicestershire Partnership Trust to help break down why this has occurred. Previous employment, my job as a GP, I'm very concerned that our figures are so low in this county. And I gather it's particularly the MMR that is at risk here. So moving on further on down, go to page 47. For 3. Yes, this is to do with the SEND children who are educated in counties. And we will fail to hit the target for 16 or 18-year-olds SEND, as there is no any county provision for SEND children this age. Now, I understand that the Cabinet and the Council can agree the targets. It's in our gift to change the target, but I'm informed by the Children's Directors, Children's and Families, that 60%, as indicated here, is realistic. but a challenge. So probably we try and keep the target at 60% and see if we can achieve it. Secondly, moving further on down to page 48, the comment there is, sorry, in 4.6, there are no children sitting Key Stage 2 SATs this year, and therefore no data will be reported. Last academic year, 66% reached the expected target. So the question is, why are there no children looked after taking these K2 stats at Key Stage 2? Well, the simple answer is because there are no children in care in year 6. So that answers that one. So moving on further down the table again to page 50. Yes, this is what the comment I made earlier about the improved figure of 48% for children of 0 to 5 years old. The key performance indicator for children 5 to 8 years, the new measure, which will be incorporated in the performance dashboard for Family Hub. As I said previously, it is very good news that we are encouraging families to take part in the Family Hub. It is a good place to intervene, and as I said earlier, to stop children moving on into more specialist care. So moving on further on down the table to page 54. Yes, I'll just comment because the current overspend is forecasted at this again financially sustainable. Sorry, I should have said financially stable. It feels children maintain high needs funding. It's the Direct Schools Grant deficit, and it's forecasted to be 0.6 million. So work is going on in the SEND recovery plan and delivering better value program to reduce the pressure on the Direct Schools Grant. And work has already started to do this. And just to recap, if you remember, with the very good CQC Ofsted report on our SEND provision, we were one of the only 4 councils in the country to receive the highest grade, as it were, and as a result, in partnership with Leicestershire and Leicestershire City, we are forming a partnership to enact the SEND recovery plan. So moving on down to page 58. Excuse me. Well, this is to do with customer satisfaction. I'm sorry, this is I'm wandering out of my field. This is I want to comment. wanted to comment on something else. So I'll leave that to the person who should be doing that. I think then that is all the comments that I have. I know it's not. Sorry, I've just lost my place. So forgive me, please. So yeah, so page 61. Service timelines, potential children seen within statutory timescales. 31 out of 37 with timescales. This is apparently due to the summer period with young people being on holiday and difficulty accessing some of the children. But I would mention that these figures are looked at on a regular basis and action taken to see if they can be remedied. Moving on further down to page 62. It's the service time allowance again with people's children. 32 out of 39 within the timescale impact and delays in educational psychological assessments and capacity and school holidays able to see children. This again is the reduction in psychological percentage of education, health and care assessments in the timescale. I would point out that there is nationally a major problem with educational psychologists throughout the country and difficulty getting recruitment and retention. So moving on down to page 6, still on page 62, 725. Portion of children receiving 12-month review. This apparently is down. The question there is the data in Q1 reported this target is on target, but this is when we viewed that data, just significantly below target. This is to do with that the part of the 0 to 11 service commissioned by Public Health to the Leicestershire Partnership Trust, and the reduction is due to the Leicestershire Partnership Trust having ongoing staffing issues, which is impacting delivery. This is being robustly managed by Public Health in terms of the contract. So at the moment, it's out of our hands. I think, Chair, that is all the comments I've got to make.
Thank you. I think there were two, for me, very pertinent points you made in all that, Councillor Smith. I mean, obviously it was all a good explanation, but the point you made about a target being challenging, I think is worth noting, because if we are setting challenging targets, we must expect occasionally for them not to be met. But I think it's important that we do set challenging targets. So I thought that was worth highlighting. And the second one was the issue about missing a target because of staffing problems within the LPT. I think we have to recognise that some of these targets, we are not totally in control of them being met, that there are outside agencies involved as well. And I think it's worth highlighting that. And we mustn't beat ourselves up about something that is quite frankly outside our control. So those are the two highlights for me of what you told us. So thank you, Councillor Smith. Does anybody else want to comment on these?
Sorry, Chair, could I just mention, I did actually earlier on talk about the number of children we had who were not in education, employment or training. This was down. We were previously the best in the country at 100%. So we're down to, I think it's 87% previously. This is due to, I think 3 or 4 mothers who have had children, so are not at the moment employed.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to revert to page 51. These are the housing and homeless figures, in particular 421, 422, and its effect on 425. We can see there that the number of affordable homes, none has come forward. The number of new homes which are affordable for rent, again, we've got a 0 figure despite our targets. I think it needs commenting that the problem here has not only been COVID, because COVID was a lockdown in 21, but we haven't had many estates coming forward for completion within that time. There was a flurry of them, as you're aware, when we failed to have the 5-year housing supply. These are slowly coming forward, and the problem is also to do with the national downturn in the sale of new homes, so the development of them is being slow. But we do have 3 or 4 estates which are presently going to be hopefully due this year. And this will greatly then affect those figures, gone from 0 to a reasonable figure. We could be having up to 100 new homes coming forward. I have actually spoken to them and see why these can't be prioritized, but we do have a policy that we try and integrate these properties within the development as a whole and not on isolated areas. Therefore, they have to come forward as and when that precise area of the development takes place. So while the figures look extremely disappointing, and clearly this has a big effect on the ability to temporary house people and come to arrangements with the housing association there, I am confident that in the forthcoming months that this figure will start looking more reasonable, and we will have a great an indentation into the figures that are badly needed. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation, Councillor Brown. I know it's something that Cabinet are unanimously concerned about, the delivery of affordable homes. So having the explanation is helpful, but it's also encouraging to think that we might be getting some online this year. Thank you.
I forgot to switch it off, but I would like to say something. Just to comment on page 58, was to do with customer satisfaction, and these appear to be quite down, but improving. I just wonder if we know whether some of this is due to the introduction of it's called the floor walker, so having the reception manned rather than just a telephone. So I don't know if anyone can give the answer to that.
I think the answer is no, we don't know, but I'm sure officers will take it away and look into it.
Chair, can I suggest we're obviously reviewing the impact of the usage of the front desk ahead of next year's budget decisions, so we can roll that into the analysis, I'm sure.
And just another one that I noticed as we're going down, I confessed I'm a bit of a geek in that I do not like litter, and I go around picking it up. And I noticed that fly tipping was well down, which is very pleasing. I just again wondered why this wasn't. It's good news, but there's an explanation.
It's not only good news, but it's not happening across the country. I think Mr. Sharp will be able to confirm that we seem to be bucking a trend here.
Yes, thank you. We have comparatively low levels of fly tipping anyway, but the team work really hard to take enforcement action where they can, and we've had several cases recently where they've issued fixed penalty notices, and I think in terms of hopefully I think that is having some deterrent impact, but it's certainly something that we'll keep an eye on in terms of understanding the trends and what more we might be able to do to sort of continue that good position.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, one further thing. On page 73, point 417, housing and cost of living, the revised allocations policy to reflect the new legislation requirements. It says it's at risk, but it's drafted and awaiting the next steps of approval. When is that? Is that going to be a problem, or when is it going to be approved?
So I'm just looking.
Sorry.
Where
Page 73.
73.
It's allocation policy. Well, yeah. It's housing, cost of living, 417 on page 73. So that fourth one
There's
down.
there's current work currently underway in relation to that and liaising with Kim's team in order to conclude that policy.
So it's imminent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just like to make a general point that it is really important that the council is open and honest with residents, and I think this is a really good exercise of transparency. And residents should be very pleased that red areas and amber areas are shown in these KPIs, because it does indicate where the council needs to improve. And it also indicates that the council knows it needs to improve, and that the residents can be assured that the council is being transparent about it. And I think I've said before that personally, I've gone from a position of quite extreme cynicism about this report to realising the care in which it is prepared, and the fact that the council has adopted KPIs where it is not always meeting those KPIs. And that's the measure of being able to truly improve service. So I would like to make sure that residents understand the value of this report, and that it is a very honest and transparent report.
Thank you. I'm sure residents do appreciate that. Well, if gentlemen, you've no further comments, I have a few. I will be covering those for Councillor Ellison in particular, as she's not here. We have had a question from a councillor concerning the delay in reviews in adult services. We touched on the delays in reviews in children's earlier. And we have fallen below our high standards in this area. It's important to note that this is a review of service, which means that the people concerned are having a service. It's the review is to see whether the service is still needed, needs tweaking, needs fundamentally changing. Although I think if it was the last, it would have been brought forward as an urgent review, which is happening. So people are still getting the service they need, by and large. Since the report was written, of the 5 vacancies that existed, which led to the delays, 3 have been recruited to. So the situation clearly is beginning to improve. And the service, as indicated in the report, is focusing on reviews, and some targeted work has been done. Sorry, I'm like I'm cooking here. Beg your pardon. Has been done. Yeah. And there's been a restructuring. So now, as a result, the reviewers, the staff that we have, are now able to work much more closely with the care home reviews that are outstanding, basically bringing together different elements of the service. So it's a much smoother and more efficient way of doing things. So I think that summarizes it. I note that the director is nodding. Do you wish to add anything?
Thank you, Chair. That's a really good account of where we're at the moment. And as you kind of an overall, the restructure and transformation work will look at this, but the vacancies have been instrumental in us not being able to deliver this. However, what we've got to look at is when pressures arise, how we mitigate that in future as well. So kind of changes in the systems of how we manage these pressures. So if we come across this again, we're better prepared for managing those pressures. When the recruitment is in place early next year, it is a priority of mine to address this and to get back to 100% care compliant. So I am very hopeful that that will start to change, and you'll see an improvement.
Thank you very much. I think for the benefit of those of you who aren't immersed in adult social care, achieving 100% target would put us at the top of the tree nationally. It's actually quite rare for local authorities to achieve that level of service. So I think we should be rightly proud of the work that our adult social care team, not to say we shouldn't be proud of the work of all our teams, actually. Another one that I wanted to raise, and one that I think as cabinet members we might want to talk about further outside this meeting, is page 57, 58, item 520, good governance. And we're failing dismally, though I'm not sure that the target necessarily measures good governance. And I think we need to, good governance is terribly important. We all know that. But I think it's something that we might want to reflect on of whether actually we've got the right target there as we go through and reset these for the future. So that's just an observation from me on that one. I'm just checking I haven't missed any. I think there is one more and I've got to find it. And I might not be able to find it, but I know what it is. No, I can't find it. There is a reference in one of the lines in the section, the final section of this report, headed Corporate Strategy Delivery Programme, that refers to homelessness and the difficulties we've had recently, which a number of us are aware of. And the officers would be discussing this at some point, but the point was October and we have passed it. And in fact, it has been discussed. And the outcome is that a working group has been re-established. It did exist previously, re-established to look at homelessness and all the ramifications and implications, but from do we have anywhere for homeless people to go to why are people homeless in the first place? So it's going to be comprehensive and all-encompassing. I think that's actually quite a useful development because it's very easy for us to say, oh, homelessness is down to X or Y, but the X and Y changes over time with different inputs nationally, cost of living crisis being an obvious one, but it's not the only one. So I'm very pleased that that group is being reinstated, and it's something I think that's dear to the hearts of a number of us. We do not want to see people in Rutland homeless. So that was all I wanted to say on this paper. Councillor Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just thought it would be useful just to talk about recruitment because several points in the papers this morning refer to vacancies. And what we're not doing is assuring the public what's happening with recruitment. And as of last week, we were recruiting a total of 67 posts, most of which had been recruited, offered and accepted. We've only got 4 where we were preparing the advert and 3 live adverts. The remainder were all in stages of recruitment from shortlisting to starting.
Thank you. I think it is reassuring to know that we don't just sit back and hope somebody else sorts it out, that actually officers get on with the job. So thank you for that. Councillor Smith.
Yes, looking through, if you look at page 71, at the bottom there, accounting for everyone, mentions inclusive education, so 4.1, and the action was deliver additional SEND school places at Uppingham Community College. SEND, I should have explained earlier, significant educational needs and or disabilities. I recently, as the children's portfolio holder for children's services, visited up in Community College, and I have to say I was really very impressed with their SEND provision. So yes, I'd be totally in agreement in trying to increase places there.
Thank you. Well, this motion has been proposed and seconded, so Cabinet notes the contents of the performance report and the progress in delivering the strategic aims within the corporate strategy 2022 to 27. All those in favour?
That's unanimous, Chair. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, everybody. Try again. Thank you. Can we move on to item 8? Green waste charges for 2024-25, and in Councillor Wise's absence, can I call upon Councillor Johnson to introduce this report, please?
Thank you, Chair. I think I've got a full house this morning. So this is a report on green waste charges for 24-25. So next financial year, starting in April. The recommendations are that we approve the proposed annual charge of £60 per bin, starting in April 24. We authorise the Director of Resources in consultation to revise as necessary terms and conditions associated with the implementable chargeable service for the curbside collection of green waste. And we approve the recommendation that future green waste charges are included in the annual fees and charges report a year in advance. The purpose of the report is to request approval of revised charges for green waste collections in 2024-25. Green waste charges were introduced in 2018-19 in order for the council to recover the costs of providing a collection service to residents. There is a discount of 25% available to households in receipt of local council tax support. This is applied across all the years the scheme has been in operation. The following table at 2.4 shows a breakdown of current expenditure for green waste collections, which gives us a cost per subscription of £49.02 and suggests that the current charge of £50 is accurate, the principle being that all costs are recovered. At 2.7, there is a table of comparable local authorities and comparable charges. Rutland at £50 is currently around about the middle, perhaps the lower middle of the range of those charges, but many of the councils there charge a lot more, particularly Melton, which is currently charging £85 per subscription for a year. The project work for the 2024-25 subscription period commenced in the autumn of this year. As well as inflation costs, additional expenditure will be incurred due to the extension of the BIFA contract previously discussed. Subscription numbers are expected to remain at similar levels. However, an increased subscription charge in conjunction with the current cost of living crisis could lead to a drop in subscription numbers. This will mean that the council would have to recover their costs across a smaller number of subscriptions. 3 options have been assessed. Option 1 includes all the direct and indirect overhead charges. Option 2 is modelled on 6% inflation and includes a contribution to capital costs. And option 3 is modelled on 66% inflation and includes a slight reduction in the number of subscriptions, which will be anticipated. Everybody regrets the fact that we need to increase charges, but the council has no other income that it can use to cover these charges. So it is important that, having set us a principle that all the costs should be recovered, that we carry through on that. The addition of the contribution to capital cost of new vehicle purchase is important. The council either has to borrow money or raise money. And if it borrows money, effectively, it's paying more interest at the moment on anything that it borrows. And we are trying to be very prudent with borrowings. The capital cost of the collection vehicles are direct costs, although they're within capital. So the option 3 contains an amortized amount of £55,000 per year as a contribution towards the capital charges. So option 3, which is recommended, comes out of a total cost per subscription of £59.52, from which the proposed charge of £60 arises. The recommendations have not been subject to public consultation. This is on the basis that there is no statutory duty to consult and that the council can demonstrate it has exercised fairness because the service is an optional service. Alternative options for green waste disposal are available. The proposed fee is reasonable and proportionate, and that residents on local council tax support are entitled to a 25% discount. An alternative option would be to freeze the current charges at £50 for 2025. This would mean that the council is not able to recover the costs of providing the service. The shortfall would have to be funded from elsewhere within the directorates, or it would have to be funded by borrowing. With option 3, the £60 per subscription is recommended in order to attempt to fully recover all costs associated with providing the collection service and no more. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that very clear explanation. Do we have any? Sorry, you. That's right. I realised. Sorry, everybody. Are you moving the motion, Councillor Johnson?
Yes, I am, Chair.
Is anyone seconding that? Thank you, Councillor Brown. The motion having been moved and seconded, we can now move to debate or discussion or questions indeed. Does anybody have anything they want to say on this? No? Well, I do, actually. I think it's really important that when we are charging for a service for which we are entitled to charge, that we charge what it costs us to provide the service, that we don't put in hidden subsidies. And the option that we're being recommended, the £60 per bin, is the actual cost, with obviously assumption built in about take-up, which is where you come to the £60. But the other options aren't the actual cost. So I think it is important that we do, if we are going to charge at all. And we have agreed previously in council that we are going to charge for green bin collection. There are alternatives for people, of course, because our civic amenities site does take green waste. So it's not that people can't do something else with it if they choose not to have a green bin. And I know some people choose to have 2 green bins, so they will be paying more. So that's my observation on it. Anything anybody else wants to say? Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, and just in support of what you were just saying, Chair, I think it's important that everybody understands that the £60 a month is only equivalent to £5. Sorry, £60 a year is only equivalent to £5 a month. I don't wish to make that sound flippant, but I do remember the days when green waste wasn't collected. And in order to get rid of grass cuttings, or particularly hedge cuttings and heavier waste, you had to take it to the tip. And given the price of petrol nowadays and given the wear and tear on vehicles, I think £5 a month represents good value for the amount of green waste that we produce in Rutland.
Thank you. If there are no further comments, the motion is that Cabinet approves the proposed annual charge of £60 per bin for the 2024-25 financial year, authorises the Director of Resources, in consultation with the Cabinet member with Portfolio for Environment, to revise as necessary the terms and conditions associated with the implemented chargeable service for the curbside collection of green waste, and approves the recommendation that future green waste charges are included in the annual fees and charges report a year in advance. All those in favour?
That's unanimous, Chair, that's carried.
Thank you very much. I have not been notified of any items of urgent business. The date of the next meeting is Tuesday, the 12th of December, 2023, and I close the meeting at 11:06.